Angel Gabriel is known for his great wings. He is a messenger of God. He brings important news, and, well, he helps people in need. Gabriel brings comfort and peace. He is a symbol of hope. Gabriel is a powerful angel, but he is also gentle. He cares about everyone. He listens to their problems and he wants to help them find their way. In the heart of a bustling city, where the noise of the crowd seemed to swallow every sound, a little boy found himself lost. The world around him was a blur of unfamiliar faces and hurried footsteps, each person too busy to notice the small figure standing still amidst the chaos. He clutched his small backpack tightly, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. He was scared and alone, his heart pounding in his chest as he tried to make sense of the overwhelming sights and sounds. The laughter of other children echoed in the distance, but none of them seemed to notice his distress. He felt invisible, as if the world had moved on without him. With a trembling voice he called for his mother, his words barely rising above the noise. He hoped she would hear him, but his cries were lost in the sea of voices and footsteps. Each passing moment made him feel smaller and more helpless. Overwhelmed by fear, the boy sat down on the cold pavement and started to cry. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he hugged his knees to his chest, wishing for the comfort of his mother's arms. The world felt impossibly big, and he felt impossibly small. Suddenly, through his sobs, he felt a gentle hand rest on his small shoulder. The touch was warm and reassuring, cutting through his fear like a ray of sunlight on a cloudy day. He looked up, his vision blurred by tears, and saw a man with kind eyes kneeling beside him. The man's face was calm and gentle, radiating a sense of safety and understanding. The man smiled softly and asked, "Are you lost, little one?" His voice was soothing like a lullaby, and for the first time since he had realized he was alone, the boy felt a glimmer of hope. The boy nodded, unable to speak as fresh tears welled up in his eyes. He felt a mixture of relief and sadness, grateful that someone had finally noticed him. The man gently picked him up, holding him securely. "Don't worry," he said kindly. "I'll help you find your mother." The boy clung to the man's shirt, feeling a sense of comfort he hadn't felt since he became lost. Together, they walked to a nearby shop, the man speaking softly to reassure the boy with every step. The shop was warm and inviting, a small haven from the confusion outside. Inside, the shopkeeper immediately recognized the boy, and wasted no time in calling his mother. The boy listened as the shopkeeper spoke on the phone, his heart beating with anticipation and hope. Moments later, his mother rushed into the shop, her face filled with worry and relief. She dropped to her knees and hugged her son tightly, tears of joy streaming down her face as she whispered words of comfort and love. She looked around to thank the kind man who had helped her son, but he was already gone, disappearing quietly into the crowd as if he had never been there at all. As she held her son close, she realized that it was Angel Gabriel who had guided her child back to her. She felt a deep sense of gratitude, knowing that sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places. Even when we feel lost and alone in the world, there is always someone watching over us, ready to guide us back to safety and love, just when we need it most. In a quiet hospital room, a mother sat by her child's bedside, her heart heavy with worry and fear. The beeping of machines and the sterile smell of the room only made her anxiety grow. She gently held her child's small hand, feeling the warmth slipping away, and tears welled up in her eyes as she wondered if her child would ever smile again. The doctors gathered outside the room, their faces etched with concern. They spoke in hushed tones, flipping through medical charts, but none of them seemed to have the answers the mother so desperately needed. Each test result brought more questions, and hope seemed to fade with every passing hour. With nowhere else to turn, the mother knelt beside her child's bed. She closed her eyes, her hands clasped tightly, and began to pray. Her voice trembled as she pleaded for strength, for healing, for a miracle that would save her precious child. She prayed with all her heart, pouring out her fears and hopes, asking for a sign that she was not alone in her struggle. She prayed for a miracle, believing that somehow, somewhere, someone was listening. As she prayed, a gentle warmth began to fill the room. Sunlight streamed through the window, bathing the mother and child in a soft, golden glow. The air felt lighter, and for a moment her worries seemed to melt away. Surprised, she looked up and saw a bright, radiant light shining from the corner of the room. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, pure, comforting, and full of hope. As the light slowly faded, a figure appeared beside her. It was a man with gentle wings, his presence both powerful and peaceful. She felt an overwhelming sense of calm wash over her. The man had a kind face, his eyes full of understanding and compassion. His calming aura seemed to fill the room, easing the mother's pain and fear. He gently placed his hand on her shoulder and whispered softly, "Don't lose hope, you are not alone, your prayers have been heard." The next morning the doctors returned to check on the child. To their amazement they saw signs of recovery. The child's color had returned, and he was breathing easier. The doctors exchanged surprised glances, unable to explain the sudden change. The mother smiled through her tears, embracing her child with gratitude and relief. She knew in her heart that Angel Gabriel had visited her, bringing hope and healing when she needed it most. Never stop praying, for miracles can happen when we least expect them. When we have faith and hold on to hope, even in our darkest moments, miracles can happen. Sometimes all it takes is a prayer and the courage to believe. There once was a humble farmer who lived on the edge of a small, quiet village. He worked hard every day, tending to his land and caring for his family, but lately, he was having a really difficult time. The days felt longer, and the nights were filled with worry. There hadn't been any rain for quite a while and his crops were dying. The earth was cracked and dry, and each morning he would walk his fields, hoping for a miracle, but finding only more withered leaves and parched soil. He just didn't know how he would feed his family. The pantry shelves grew emptier with each passing day, and the laughter of his children was slowly replaced by anxious whispers at the dinner table. So he sat on his porch, feeling completely hopeless. The weight of his worries pressed down on him, making it hard to even lift his head. He wondered if things would ever get better, or if this season of hardship would last forever. Suddenly, in the stillness of the evening, he heard a voice, soft, yet clear enough to cut through his despair. "Have faith," the voice said, gentle as a breeze but powerful enough to stir something deep within him. It was as if the words themselves carried a promise of hope. The farmer looked up, startled, and saw a man standing in front of him. The stranger seemed to appear out of nowhere, yet his presence felt strangely familiar and comforting. The man had a gentle smile and a calming presence, as if he carried peace with him wherever he went. His eyes shone with kindness and his words seemed to ease the farmer's troubled heart. Right then the farmer felt a sense of peace just wash over him. The burden of his worries seemed lighter, and for the first time in weeks he allowed himself to hope again. The very next day, as he stepped outside, he noticed dark clouds gathering over the farmland. The sky, once empty and unforgiving, now rumbled with the promise of change. Rain began to pour down on the land, soaking the thirsty earth and breathing life back into the fields. The sound of raindrops was like music to his ears, a melody of hope and renewal. The farmer's crops were saved, green shoots pushed through the soil, and the fields that once seemed lost were now full of promise and abundance. He knew in his heart that Angel Gabriel had brought the rain, answering his prayers in the moment he chose faith over fear. Gratitude filled his soul as he looked up at the sky, tears of relief mixing with the rain. When we have faith, even in the darkest of times, we can overcome any obstacle. Sometimes all it takes is a single moment of hope to change everything. The farmer's story reminds us that faith can lift the heaviest burdens and open the door to miracles, even when all seems lost. Angel Gabriel is a messenger of hope. He brings comfort to those who are suffering. He reminds us that we are never alone. He is a symbol of God's love. When you are feeling lost or afraid, remember Angel Gabriel. He is always there to guide you. He will bring you hope and show you the way.